Right, greetings all. Hope this finds you well as always. It's now time for a weekly update from the machine shop, where we're up to and what we're on with. Right, the first thing is a bit more Repton progress, which is yet more bits have disappeared off the floor. The middle expansion link has been taken through into the running shed earlier today, or actually no, apologies, earlier this week. And I don't know if the lads have actually fitted it yet or if they've just got it out there, but if it's not on Repton, it certainly will be by now. I've had a bit of a reorganisation here. You may remember in the last videos for heaven knows how long, where those two bins are, you will have seen there was some trestles with a load of all the stuff, rods and whatnot piled on top of them. I've got sick of bumping my knees on those, and we also got this trolley in here with something else on it, which I'll come to in a minute. And so I've just repurposed this trolley for the last few bits of Repton. So we have one of the combination levers, a few small rods, and a drawbar nut. And that's it. The other combination lever, as Barry Neeson got the repinning and rebushing of that finished this week, so that's all ready to go back on. So that's done, dusted, and well on the way to being out of here. The other thing behind it, incidentally, is a little stacker, which I borrowed just to try out, and I've discovered it's absolutely invaluable for lifting heavy and awkward stuff around the place, so we're keeping hold of that. Right, the reason that trolley in here, though, is because of what was on it. And what was on it is this thing, which long-term viewers may already recognise. It's the superheater header of 44806. I mentioned briefly last week that it was our plans to get this back into here and get some more work done on it. Now, a while ago, I set it up and we skimmed up that main steam pipe flange there, took two great gouges out of it and cleaned up the face. And at the time I said there was other work to be done on it. It then got sidelined due to other priority work. We need the bore of some other jobs, then things happened and whatnot. And so, yeah, we've now got the borer clear and it's now back in here. So, got it up on the table. It's sat on two sets of parallels because those studs on the bottom won't clear the table otherwise. The various bits and pieces around it, that's the clock gauge for dialing it in. And some parallels and sort of other rubbish. Anyway. What we've then done is the first thing we've done is dialed it in. When I say dialed it in, what that means is I've set that, before we clamped it down, I set it so the header is absolutely square to the table. The way we did this was I used the two steam pipe flanges here, and then there's the other one at the rear you can see beyond that triangular blanking plate. I used those as the two datum faces. I basically clamped a straight edge across those two faces, and then I had my wonderful little homespun indicator on a stick which I clamp onto the machine spindle. With that I could then traverse the table, and running the indicator on the straight edge I could then align it absolutely square to the table. The next job to be done is that those two steam pipe flanges, they have a chamfer in the edge here. That chamfer needs recutting. Now, there's two components to that. The first is this tool holder that we saw the other week, which has been subtly modified in that it's required another slot in it and another two grub screw holes. The idea is that is going to be used to hold, when I find it, a cutting tool, which has rather helpfully disappeared. Oh, well, that's good. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm sure wherever it's gone, it's having a much more pleasurable life. That will be used to hold a piece of tool steel, which will cut a 45-degree angle as required on that wall there. What we'll do is I'll lift the head of the machine up and align the spindle so it's absolutely central with that bore, just like you would with the boring head, and then we simply put the tool in. The tool, I've spent the afternoon grinding to a form tool, so it'll actually cut a 45-degree angle, which is why I'm rather hoping I haven't lost it, because otherwise that's 3 hours work on the Swanee. And then, well, actually, no, that's not true. It wasn't quite 3 hours work, but I'll come to that in a minute. Anyway, then that will just gently skim that out, reinstate the chamfer. The one minor entertainment we have is that the distance between those two steam pipe flanges is greater than the travel of the machine. So what I'm going to have to do is skim one, then put the straight edge back up, slide the header across on the table of the machine, which actually slides surprisingly well because you know how heavy it is, and then realign and do the other flange. Then the next job is the whole header will be tipped up 90 degrees. It will be sat on that main steam pipe flange, which we've already remachined, so we know it's a good surface. And underneath here, there's a series of sockets into which all the superheater elements locate. Each of those sockets it should be 45-degree angle, and it just needs cleaning up. And for that, we have this rather large countersink mounted in a tool holder. So that's how that job will be done. Hopefully that's probably for a bit of tomorrow's and next week's entertainment. So that's the next job. Okay, right. Moving on down the shop, a few other bits and pieces have been going on. I mean, most of what's been going on this week is running repairs. But I've got on with a few other bits of maintenance. And one bit, just to satisfy the Health and Safety Brigade, who might get a bit overexcited. You saw I resurrected the little Emco lathe the other week, and it was running without a chuck guard, and I did say that it needs a chuck guard before the world's any older. Well, I'm well on the way of adapting. What actually started life as a guard for a small milling machine was found in our box full of various useful stuff in rather a battered state. It was half the perspex on it was missing and the other half was broken, and I'm in the process of modifying that to a chuck guard. We already have the mounting onto the machine, which is that horizontal bar at the back. It's hinged on that. This top cover is going to be rolled into a slight gentle curve, so it'll give you a bit more clearance on the chuck. I mean, it does clear as it is, but I would like a bit more on it. And then that'll keep that machine and make that machine safe. And then I think when it's given a good clean, it'll actually match the colour of the Emco pretty well as well. So there you go, a bit of recycling, a bit of spin ingenuity, and hopefully it'll work. Right, other jobs we've got on at the moment. I said some running repairs have come in. One of the running repairs that has come in is this cylinder relief valve for 825. It was blowing, and we found what the problem was that this seat here on the valve had got very badly pitted. So we've taken the valve out and recut it. We also taken the valve body and recut the seat in there. So that's now a lot better than it was. That just needs a good lapping, and then that can go back together and go back into traffic. Other little running repairs we've had that we can't show you, a couple of other little repairs on various washout jobs, and we've also, just to show we're completely diversified and inclusive, we've also repaired a postcard stand for the shed shop after it apparently disintegrated and Margaret Beasley got very upset, and yeah, you don't want that, so we've repaired it. It's sorted. Brian's been back in this week. He's not in tomorrow because the cheek of it, the infernal bleeding cheek. The man's managed to get himself invited to Goodwood tomorrow. It's not fair. Anyway, he's on with a while ago. I pointed a camera at the Buff of 806 and said there was a batch of dome head bolts to be made. Well, they're still to be made, and they've become Brian's job. So he's made a start at roughing them out there, and there's the other blanks there. You saw I showed that large lump of hexagon steel last week. Well, he's now parted these off into individual nuts. And very nice they are too, I must admit, they're lovely. These are lock nuts for the brake gear on Eric and also on 806. The existing ones are very badly worn, so we're going to replace them. Those still need a thread up the middle of them. Brian's bored them out to the core diameter of the thread. That's the size from which you start threading. And so we're just going to sort some tooling. I need a threading tool that will, well, no, it's a combination. I have the inserts, I just need a threading tool to hold them. They're just a bit larger than what we've always used before, and so I need to sort out a new internal threading tool. But those are done and ready to go. So they just need a thread putting in them, and we're done. I'll just leave that. But that's this is my filing system. I tend to put the drawings for jobs with the jobs, so you know where we're up to. A job that is happening tomorrow is being sorted, so we've got a wee bit more bench space. It's been used as a dumping ground for far too long. Another last little bit of work that I spent this afternoon doing, getting covered in cack in the process, is I said it took me 3 hours to grind a form tool. It didn't. It actually took me half an hour to grind a form tool. It took 2.5 hours to sort out the grinding rest on the Whitman grinder. That rest has, it should be able to adjust it. For some reason, you couldn't, and I ended up spending this afternoon taking it to pieces, cleaning an unholy amount of ancient grinding dust and cack out of it, and then working out how it should work, working out how to fall apart, and reassembling it, sorting it out, and putting it back together. So a little bit of light running maintenance there as well. So it's not just the locomotives, we're also maintaining the machines in the shop as well. So anyway, folks, I think that's about all we're up to at the moment. It's been a relatively quiet week. I've had a day off. Brian's only in one day this week. And so Craig's in the middle of moving house and closing down a business, and so he's a bit busy. But hey-ho, these things happen. Anyway, folks, I hope you found it educational, informative as always. Take care, and I'll see you around.